learned through observation, the power of observations. Patients and people teach us everything we need to know. In fact, all the things that I learned in that first year in practice, 95% of them came from my patients, 5% of them from my 9 years of medical school education, college, and internship. And if you talk to a credible physician, any MDs in the house tonight? We have one MD. If you talk to a credible MD, they'll tell you that they're using most of the information they're getting, acquiring it from the practice. They're learning through the power of observation. The best physicians in the world have done just that, the power of observation with the 5 senses and beyond. So I was stuck. I practiced for about 5 years in the general practice. Everything was going hunky-dory. I was married, nice house, nice car, the dream life. And then what happens? I get up one morning, I'm short of breath, I feel paralyzed, I don't know where to go. I could barely reach to get my watch to turn it off. The alarm clock was on, but I wasn't. And life was going on, and it had bypassed me. 2 days later, I found out I had a viral infection in my heart. How many of you know what congestive heart failure is? Okay, we die from congestive heart failure. In my case, I had acute congestive heart failure. That means 1 to 2 years was the lifespan that cardiologists were giving me. A virus had infected the muscles, and don't want to go into the physiology, but it didn't look very good. And so I'm morbidly depressed. How many of you have been told you were going to die at some point in your lives? We have one person with a near-death experience. Anyone else? And you. And you. Okay. So it's not uncommon to be told by a doctor that you have very little chance of survival, and then you're stuck like I was, running around from one doctor to the next, looking for a solution. And what do these doctors tell you? That's what the books say. Merck Manual, Harrison's Textbook of Medicine. Here's the latest cardiology review. They all said the same thing. Viral cardiomyopathy in a 33-year-old is deadly. I don't know your name, sir.
Larry.
Dr. Larry, do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah.
Viral cardiomyopathy. So this is my first education. This is the first time in my life I'm being pressed to really get inside, dig in, and figure out what am I going to do to survive. I'm married. I have a little over $500,000 of debt, and I have family to be responsible, lots of patients looking for me to be back. Not a good time to die. I'm thinking to myself, this really is a bum deal. I got too much life. I'm 33. So I'm sitting on oxygen. Picture this in your heads. Every day that I'm not working, there are people in my staff that are not getting paid, okay? Because I was still a young practitioner working to pay off the bills for the practice. So if I'm not working, somebody else can't work either, because the doctor has to bring the revenue in, right? Patients, have to see the nurse, the doctor in combination. So 3 months has gone by. The practice is kind of going down, 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 down. Mortgages haven't been paid for the locations and my house. And, I'm desperate. One night my wife comes in, and it's cold, it's December, and it's Seattle. Can you imagine that? Yeah? Seattle is cold today. So I tell my wife, can you take me to Mexico? And my wife, who has been married to me this very day, we're celebrating our anniversary after 20 years today, actually. Thank you. She wishes all of us well. She says, obviously your priorities have changed just a little bit, sweetheart. But she being the grateful, the kind, and the woman with lots of foresight. It's very amazing. So Mazatlan to me was light. I was seeking light intuitively. Intuitively, I was going like a moth, towards the light. And plus, there was the beach, beautiful bodies running around, sensory applications, I figured, hey, I'd feel better. Maybe my appetite will return. Maybe I can swim. Maybe I'll live, an extra month. Maybe I'll live 4 or 5 more months if I went to Mazatlan. And I seriously was not planning on a return trip. My wife said, fine, we'll do that. I talked to my cardiologist, talked to the colleagues, talked to my parents, talked to all my friends, and what do they say? You're nuts! You're in oxygen. Mexico in 1989? Mexico still doesn't have the 911 response emergency services that we have in our major cities. Think about it. Leaving your oxygen behind, leaving your cardiologist behind, and going to Mexico. The cardiologist, on a footnote, really thought that I was hypoxic. That means I wasn't getting enough oxygen to the brain, and my judgment was really, really poor. My dad was very upset. Dad trusted U.S. healthcare. And he said, Mexico, they're going to kill you. So we sneaked out of Seattle. We went there, and nothing happened that first week. The only thing I remember vividly is the Mexican Airlines hit the tarmac, and we got out, and they opened the doors, and I felt the sun was just setting on Mazatlan, and I just felt a wave, like a shock wave of health. And it was warm, balmy. You can see the palm trees in the background. I felt good. Just for a few seconds, I felt, oh, that was good. I want more of that. For a whole week, nothing happened. I couldn't replicate that feeling. Nothing spectacular. My wife left, because remember, we were broke. Somebody had to keep the bills. She was still working as a city planner. She went, and she said, I'm going to go see if I can get back again in about 2 weeks. See if I can come back for a few more days. Borrow more money, come back on another trip.